A little bit the challenge is these make or buy decision, I think, which every company currently has. And when it comes to AI tools, on the one hand, it's kind of democratized, so you can build software now really fast. The technician in yourself is seeing, hey, that's cool new stuff. But deeper in the brain, it starts thinking, hey, where this cool stuff is developing further, that could replace my job. So for us, the key challenge, of course, is this kind of knowledge transfer, but not only internally. It's the same for our customers. So efficiency and having gurus out there, it's a lot about knowledge transfer.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Ctrl Shifter, a podcast by SmartDev and Verticel AI featuring voices that take control of data shift. Today's guest is someone who's been driving digital initiative adoption for over 11 years, empowering and encourage others with digital transformation. Let's welcome Florian Fink. He's been leading the charge of AI, digital tooling, and organizational transformation at OMICRON. So, Florian, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you want to share anything about you or your company before we jump right in?
Hi, Maddie. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Maybe about myself. My background is I'm an electrical engineer, so I'm coming from the power grid. And I joined OMICRON 11 years ago. Was working there in the product management, and joined just 3 years ago the road to digital transformation, working there with my colleague on it. And we are producing devices for the power industry, for power grids, for testing components there.
Wow, that's 11 years in Omicron. I believe Omicron is a really good place that encourage you to do all of these things. So I think let's rewind a bit and start from the root. So how did your experience as an engineer shape the way you approach to digital transformation leadership now?
So when I was working in the product management, we came with quite new technology testing solutions, and we see how the customers were not directly adopting to that. It was my first experience when it comes to change management and new technologies popping up to people. And then we had here an internal program for digital transformation, looking at our software and making that even better. We realized also that's a lot about adoption, of course, on the one hand of customers, but also here internally. How do you experience new technology? How you deal with that? And we found that generative AI on focus when there was a famous peak with ChatGPT or the release. We saw a lot of these adoption things coming together. So we used that wave to really make that something where we would like to have an eye on.
So I can tell the place that you're working for, Omnicron, is a true global innovator in power system testing and monitoring as well. And they advocate for all these technology and digital transformation thing. And from that, I know that the energy sector tends to be quite conservative with new technology as well. And they prioritize stabilities and precision. So is that also one of the core challenge you're solving here in the position you are in right now?
Yeah, you were right. For the utilities, the main focus is to keep the lights on so that we can speak now currently over the internet and everything is stable. That's the focus of the utilities. And when they have tested with our devices, they ensure that everything is reliable and working. So we are a little bit like the insurance for them. And on the one hand, we have the big challenge for the utilities of the grid transformation, I would call it, with the decarbonization, with all the renewables, but also with the new loads like EV cars and so on coming. So the utilities are under a kind of pressure to make that change happening. And while they have to maintain their power grid, they have also this kind of stress to do the new stuff, but also to maintain the old stuff. So they're looking for kind of efficiency. And yeah, what can bring efficiency, digitalization, and new technologies. And now we have to find the sweet spot between bringing more efficiency, but keeps the stability on the other hand. And that's, of course, always a kind of challenge. While I can understand that if you stay conservative and you don't change your system, you don't have so much problems. But on the other hand, you're not getting efficient. So that's a little bit the challenge what we have to overcome.
Yep, I see. So you are the person that helping this utility sector moving faster, more efficient, and also with confidence as well. And yeah, and I think it's just hit on the point here, which is digital transformation isn't just about adopting new things, right? It won't work out without the person behind who guiding it, which is the leadership. So you've been describing yourself as someone who empower teams, drive its transformation across tech and strategy. What business challenges, like maybe fragment tool, knowledge gap, or something currently happening at Omicron that you see and you wanted to solve?
Yeah, that's a difficult thing. So yes, you're right. It's not about technology. It's about empowering people, and the people have to get the insights on their own. So it's not helping if we show them something. With that, we can adjust and light the fire in the people, and then they have to experience on their own and find the productivity on their own. Because that's also the thing. I'm not an expert in everything and in all these different things. I just limited scope, but I try to show the people what could be helpful for them, which is related to our industry, what is related to our customers, so that they can adapt their processes with the new technology, right? So that's in the end the sweet spot when they understand what's in for them. And then on the other hand, okay, we can make that available because nowadays there are so much tools out there which everybody could use. And in the private sector, you can do that. But for us as a company, we have also to look at cybersecurity. We have to look at
Yep.
contracts. And so we have also some limitations and we can't do everything. So having this flexibility to be on the one hand fast paced and using the new cool stuff. And on the other hand, keeping the stability, security, and so on is a kind of challenging for us.
Okay, I see. So you are not just working internally, but also you're supporting on the customer side as well. You tell with them this one could be good and support them throughout the way they're adopting it as well.
You know, this digital transformation is not only happening internally. Of course, we can do that to gain more efficiency. But in the
Mm-hmm.
end, why we are doing that, it's for the customer. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't create benefit
I
for the
see.
customer. We don't bring benefit to them and we don't get
Mm-hmm.
with that business growth. So in the end, business is everything what we do and benefit for the customer.
I believe that's kind of mindset where you place user at the center of your strategy and work things from that. Um, So we are talking about how your sector is still conservative to new technology, right? Omnicron is also a leading innovator in this field as well. So how did you gain alignment from different stakeholders across the company and also your partner to move forward with bold change? Because this sector is still not very open-minded to all of these new tech.
What gave a big boost was COVID pandemic. So during that time, when we had several lockdowns and so on, we have seen that also for the utilities, the digitalization gave some benefits. So they could work from home office. They used cloud services where they stored the documents, which are normally in the substation and so on. So that gave a digitalization boost, and with that changed also a little bit the mindset, so that this get a little bit more open. And that helped a lot on the one hand, and on the other hand, it's showing the people some concepts and some working prototypes really on the one hand to customers and to see, okay, that could be beneficial for us. And then you that directly is a requirement, but that need to run in that environment. That needs to be more like that. And when you bring that customer feedback internally, then you get on the one hand the software developers, the managers, and everybody is then thinking how to make that happen to hit the sweet spot for the customer and to make something out of technology which should benefit in the end.
Okay. Wow. think that also leads us to an exciting part where all of the initiatives that you've been helping your customer and work with the whole team on that to boost their effectiveness, especially the AI chatbot that you are piloting into. So you mentioned your team started building internal tool to make AI more accessible and boost the operation inside OMICRON so that you can support the customer better. Are there any internal frictions or knowledge gap inspire the development of the chatbot?
It was more the peak of the AI hype when ChatGPT was released. We said, "Hey, that technology of AI, we have there some activities and some interested people here and there, but nothing with a big focus on." So we said, "Hey," and there was a concept coming from an external partner, so-called InnoLab, and we said, "Let's do a 3-month challenge with a few people and let's dive into that topic." And let's see, on the one hand, can we really make something happen in these 3 months, which in the end gets some gravity and also encourage some people. And yeah, the outcome was that in 3 months, we created this chatbot, which was retrieval augmented generation, where you can have a lot of documents about our products and you can ask it questions and get insights to that. And for us, as a key challenge, of course, is this kind of knowledge transfer, but not only internally. This is the same for our customers. So efficiency and having gurus out there, it's a lot about knowledge transfer. So, and therefore we said this technology would first, on the one hand, help us internally, but sooner or later, that is also something our customers would be interested in because that really brings efficiency.
Yeah, I can tell. And I think it's not just about you guys just following the hype. You saw that this is a good use case, and we already seen some people having these problems as well. So you start with this. Yeah, from some interview that we had, that we see a pattern where the AI tools they roll out, but still not so many people adopting it and still hit a plateau. Yes, for some reason, employees doesn't want to change their workflow. They hesitated in that. And also the adoption and training program are barely executed as well. So there will be a little data to measure whether this initiative is worth the investment. I think my question is going to be, how did you approach getting not just user, but the management level to adopt and advocate for this tool?
The management on our side is getting buy-in when also a lot of users and people are buying in. So we have a very flat hierarchy, so it's not a top-down approach. So we go more bottom-up. So when we see a lot of teams and people who are going for that, then also the management is bringing its buy-in. So then we see also, okay, there is coming efficiency. And when we rolled out that topic, we had the one or other use case in mind. And of course, we have there seen some challenges because on the one hand, the people said, "Hey, that's cool stuff. We don't want to give it away." But on the other hand, they said, "It's not good. You can't use it." And then we were some
Okay.
kind of irritated. Where is that coming from? And we had a very clever guy from a university here nearby called Florian Bühler, and he said that's a common phenomena he's currently seeing with this kind of technology, because the technician in yourself is seeing, hey, that's cool new stuff, but deeper in the brain it starts thinking, hey, where this cool stuff is developing further, that could replace my job. And that is not directly going in the forefront. That is happening deeper, and you are not that aware, and you have an internal fight between the technician and
Okay.
you as a
Okay.
human being. When we realized that, when we said, okay, we don't pressure too much, but we look for these people who are really open to the technology, who would like to do that shift and experience. Because that famous sentence, AI will not replace you. The people which are using AI will replace you. And it's also not replacing the most important topic. It's a topic of change, right? So we have to make people aware that nowadays, with all these new technologies are coming, there's a lot of change coming. And we, on the one hand, need to learn new stuff, but we need to also unlearn stuff we don't use anymore. And that's the challenge, bringing that to the people. And yeah, for us, a key criteria was we're looking now at that chatbot. and focus on features who bring adoption and bring the most users in it. So when we look at the usage and the feature request we get, and then we see, okay, is that feature bringing more users, more people of interests here in, and does it really bring the scaling into the tool? Then we bring these features. So that's how we, and then of course we look normally what is big effort and all these normal metrics, but we look at adoption and user need.
Okay. So after a while adopting these, the chatbot that could centralize all of the internal data in, what kind of impact have you seen so far on speed, on accuracy, on team collaboration? And I think after rolling this out, I think one of the biggest shift would be the mindset of the people as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe can you share?
So the rollout of the chatbot is not the only thing. We are doing here multiple things. We have also some format which is called AI Breakfast or AI Break, because we do that worldwide, and then depends on time zone where you are when you're joining that one, where people could join via VC or here on site, and we share different things about the newest features of the chatbot, external input, and everything about AI. And what you see is this kind of encourageness of the people who are getting more and more interested about the topic and the technology. And I just had, before our podcast recording, a call with a colleague, and I was sharing with her about rec approach, talking about a system prompt, talking about, hey, these files needs to be indexed, and the people getting to that technology and understanding what is happening there. So you need to know, in the beginning, we had the topic, hey, I'm asking a question to the chatbot and he cannot answer. Yes, of course, he cannot answer because this data is not in his reach and it's not available. And when people getting to understand, okay, that data need to be there, and the system prompt and the prompting needs to be good. It's not like Googling it. It's really asking a question to a very knowledgeable person. So having all that understanding of the technology really brings us further in the effectivity and everything we can gain out of it. And that is currently changing. And that's very difficult to measure, but that's something you can feel talking to people and seeing how they react on different activities.
Even though there's still some limitation, but we can see that the gap between a person and the information that they're looking for is gradually get narrower over time and over time. And I think soon the product will soon have no friction anymore with the advancement of technology currently, right? Do you have that kind of vision? If you have a thing to optimize the product that you're working on, what would it be?
A little bit the challenge is for us these make or buy decision, I think, which every company currently has. And when it comes to AI tools, on the one hand, it's kind of democratized. So you can build software now really fast, and these tools are getting smarter and smarter. We have just a few students playing around with a low code tool, and what they did in 3 weeks was incredible.
Yeah, it is.
On the other hand, you need to maintain all that stuff and to make something which is working for the whole organization. So it needs a kind of stability. And then you have also these big players like Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, and so on, which provide tools for a price. And then you always need to think, do I now, what's cheaper for me, buying that solution or crafting that on my own? And then it's a question of scaling, and that's currently a question I think multiple people are puzzled, because on the one hand, of course, internally you get flexibility, but you need to maintain it. And yeah, this whole challenge we know also from the past, but getting here really on the focus. And with that fast pace, what we see currently in technology development, it doesn't make it easier, because hey, what is not working right now in 2 weeks or 1 month, it could be there. And that's the thing which is needs focus.
I see. Yeah, lots of tools, lots of tools on the market, and every single day we're gonna have some new information pop up. OpenAI just have this feature. Perplexity just has a feature. Copilot just has a feature, and yeah, we get lots of noise around here because you are the person who fostering digital transformation, right? Always driving new things and always open to adopt new things. So how do you stay balanced between all these noises around you?
Yeah, we on the one hand we need to still focus what is out there and monitor that stuff so that we really can trial and test these things to see also where are the limitations and what we can do with it to see okay where are the benefits for us. That's yeah, quite a challenge. What's really important that we as an organization learn about the technology and learn also, hey, is it only for internal efficiency, or can we in the end build products out of it, or products with it, or products which have integrational components of that technology, right? So that was also one reason why we said we started these InnoLabs, where we said, hey, at least we need to know how that will affect, for example, software development. And for example, if we need these features integrated in our tools, and if we need them, how are they getting to build? So we need people who have that skills and knowledge so that we at least know, okay, we can build it on our own, or we have partners. And then it's always a question, what is scaling better for us?
Previously, I have discussion with mostly SMEs, but also from big company as well. But they perceive adopting AI thing, like to roll out something, not just AI, all the technology thing. They need to go through a lot of evaluation framework before they want to roll it out. But in your case, you want to know if we have the capacity to do this. We have to maybe work on some deployment, some basic step first, some small step first to see if we have the capacity to do this, if we understand this, and we can gain knowledge from that. And I believe I think this one is the most different way from the other person I've interviewed, but it's really a fresh point of view and would be helpful for our listener who've been listening to this podcast and being framed with the initial speaker before. I mean, it depends on different organization, right? But this one is one of a fresh view that I've been encountered, to be honest.
Mhm.
And that's great.
And the situation is also that we have also yeah limited capacity, right? So of course we have software developers, we have engineers who doing all the electronic stuff for our organization, but we can't send I don't know 100 of software developers just on the topic of generative AI. There are much bigger companies out there like us who are doing that stuff. Of course, we have software development for our tools, what we have, but we can't go like these big players.
Mhm.
Of course, we could go with external partners, but then we still need to look, hey, what are they building for us? How can we keep a kind of this knowledge internally and so on? So that's a scaling topic then.
I see. So we've been talking about something technical here. Let's shift the gear a bit. Still technical, equally exciting. So you and your team has been working in visual intelligence using generative AI to extract data from your image. So from what I understand, this built on an existing internal tool, right? But the GenAI layer added a layer on it that opened a whole new capability, especially in great predictive. So what problem did your team face with traditional image processing?
Mhm.
And how does AI change the whole game?
So, we were also trying to use AI, machine learning algorithms already earlier. 5 to 10 years ago, we had projects ongoing. And the situation is that we have that big assets like power transformers, circuit breakers, or other assets in the field at the customer side. And they need data, for example, serial number or data which is written on the nameplate in context of testing. Of course, sometimes data is provided in a database, but at least they need to double check, hey, is that asset still that one which is installed, or is that something updated? And the nameplate, that's a physics and that's a reality in the field. So a lot of customers still need that analog data digitized in context of our testing tools. And we said, okay, it would be cool. A lot of customers using now smartphones. And how can we take a photo with a smartphone and bring that into our testing software? But the diversity of these nameplates are that big that we were not able to do that with a few hundreds of records or even thousands to make a machine learning out of it. But what we have seen once we used ChatGPT or the other tools, when you upload a photo there, you get context to that data. So on the one hand, it does, of course, this OCR, which is just reading the numbers out of it, but it directly gets, hey, there's a ratio of voltage, there is a vector group, hey, it must be a kind of power transformer, voltage transformer, something in that direction. So it more or less gets the context of these pictures, and that helps us a lot to, on the one hand, read that data out of these pictures and bring that in context of our application, because then you can do also the next difficult thing, and that is the mapping between the data which is on the picture and the data for what you needed in the software itself. So we were experimenting in another inner lab about 3 months with the technology. We learned our lessons about prompting these things. And yeah, we integrated now that functionality into our chatbot so that we can play with it internally, but we show that also to our customers to get feedback how they would like to use that stuff in context of our software.
Yep, I see. To talk about visual intelligence and images and things. So I think there a shift in the way we're processing data. So I've been talking with a guy which has vast experience in data analytics and social media. I mean, this is a bit out of the industry field that we're talking right now, but he said that visual are the largest data set in the world, and they are also the least explored. From this picture, we can tell that for a picture, we can tell so many things happen in the picture, right? The content of picture, the context that you set, and also based on the frame size, the pixel structure, you can tell which device is capturing this, and etc. So I would say more data will be provided by pictures rather than just some other traditional kind of data. And with more data, it will do things, make decisions with more confidence and speed up the operation, I would say. So I'm just mentioning about this, but it's pretty cool that you mentioned about that as well. So looking forward.
And
Oh yeah.
And what we explored in addition, so we first had to focus on these nameplates, but then we gave it also some general pictures and say, hey, that asset, what do you see on that asset in regards of safety or whatever? And then we got also a kind of maintenance report. Hey, there is some corrosion or there's some snow laying around, pay attention to that. And that was also something eye-opening for us. It also understand more context of these pictures. And while so far engineers wrote a lot of reports, they now can take pictures. The AI tells a story about the pictures, and they can craft now much more faster report about these assets without writing so much stuff on their own. Of course, they need to double check because the AI is not perfect right now. So we still need the human in the loop. But that makes another thing. If you have just a photo EMG 4000 laying on the server around and doing nothing, or if you really can search like in Google or Apple for your photos and say, I want to see that power transformer in that substation. So that data is getting now accessible for the users. And
Yeah.
all this information is just not pixels stored somewhere. It's a story behind which you can search.
I previously just think that visual is only important for visual centric firm industry like e-commerce or retail and thing, and you just mentioned a case from utilities thing. So I think now is changing. It's applied across different industry as well.
Yeah, it's the eye to the outer world, right? So the cameras, which we have now everywhere on the smartphones, on the robots, and so on, bring us very fast and documented there to the world where we would like to interact with. And that's really helping. And now having this data digitized and interactive, that's really helping.
Yep. So looking forward, so you said that we already used it for tracking how is that site's going on, what is the situation of this power grid, for example. And looking forward, what are the potential use cases excite you most when applying this technology in your field?
I think what I already said, this kind of knowledge transfer is something which is really helping, because we see also, at least here in Europe, we have a kind of retirement wave which will come over the next years, and a lot of newbies coming to the power grid. So having these data available to the people is something which really can help, because they have a big challenge right now, because we have assets and servers which are 30, 40 years old. I even have seen assets which have been to 100 years old. So you have to have a big technology spread between brand new stuff, which has been just installed last week, which is a modern switchgear with newest techniques and routers and I don't know whatever, a network. And on the other hand, you have very old stuff. Having the knowledge to maintain all that stuff and keep it in service is a big one. And then having this data digitized out of photos, and that are the two things which we are looking forward to really. And yeah, looking also how we can bring that in applications so
Mhm.
that our customers are willing to use that, because we talk here also a lot about cybersecurity. We talk here about
Yeah.
no connectivity availability in substations sometimes because it's deep in the mountain or on a concrete steel. Yeah, all these challenges, we need to find possibilities, but there's so much tech out there now. At least we can use these kind of Lego bricks, building blocks, and make something out of it. But of course, we need to focus that this brings really custom benefit.
Yep. Can't wait to see where you and your team at OMICRON gonna take this to the next level. All right. So you just tap into a thing. Besides just adopting tech, we also have lots of parts to consider. So when we're talking about tech, we consider two things. Adopting new thing, we consider two things, which is the opportunities and also the risk if we implement those opportunities. Now I think we're stepping into the headache part, which governance framework for all the technology that you're working on to adopting these. How do you form a management framework for evaluating all these new technology?
So when we were looking at that topic, it was be very clear that there are three major topics. It's on the one hand about strategy and direction we go. The next thing, it's about people adoption and making that people centric. And on the other hand, we have the topic about risk and um, challenges we can have with the technology. And then we were looking at the organization and thinking, okay, and how can we make that happen? So we would need kind of different teams represented to make that really in the end also this kind of change happening, and to get also buy-in from stakeholders management, so that this is going to happen, the decisions we doing there. So we have a kind of prioritization of different topics which we look at the moment. Is there something like a law or something coming where we have to look at? Is there training needed or required from the colleagues? Is there a strategic decision needed in regards to the technology? And then we rank these topics in a backlog, make small focus groups working on these topics, so that we can tick them off one after the other.
So you just tap in the training one, which brings me a follow up. So I think personally, me and also our audience who work in digital adoption tech initiatives a lot care about is in an enterprise like Omicron. How do you guys train your colleagues, your employees to adopt these new tools? I mean, designing an effective training section isn't easy, right? You can just show them a bunch of slides and congrats, you learned something. Now applying it, they're surely not gonna trying to adopt it immediately, and takes a lot of time to convince them over time. So maybe how the team in Omnicom is training the colleagues, the employees.
The topic diversity on both sides are kind of key. So we have a diversity with our colleagues. We have people who studied AI topics. We have people who are software developers for years, decades. But also people who are not used to that tech, but would need to use it. Then, of course, we need for them also different training possibilities. So on the one hand, of course, everybody can upscale, learn themselves. So there's a lot of training material out there. And we offer also some stuff here internally where they can book courses. But on the other hand, we have here created a course for people to join in person or via VC, because what we have seen, one of the most beauteous thing is a discussion in the room. Also, we talk about ethics, we talk about best practice, and so on. So coming together as a community, learn together, share, was for us also something very helpful, where people afterwards said, "Oh, I was not aware," and they went out. What we do in that session is also inspiring people about new stuff which is out there, what we have seen, to open also the mindset a little bit. Hey, that is maybe not directly available in our tool right now, but maybe in 2 weeks or 1 month, it is there. And this is the technology which is coming, so that the people get aware. Of course, a little bit always like prompting, how does it work, a little bit of technology background, how does it work, but not too deep. Have a little bit more of these knowledge exchange. The breakfast, as I said, and we did now also a kind of prompting challenge where they give daily to a group of people a challenge, and then everybody shared, "Hey, I did that and that, and I accomplished that, and I had that challenge," so that this community aspect was even stronger in that one, and that we would like to repeat. So it's not one training we roll out and that solves everything. It's a kind of diverse landscape so that we can fulfill that. But I would even say we are doing not enough. We would need to do even more to keep up with the speed of technology and fulfill also the needs from our colleagues. And one topic regarding training, we tried a little bit with external trainings, and there we saw the challenge, okay, you can learn about tech, but when it comes to cases, we need to bring internal use cases which are fitting to these teams. When they are not buying into the use cases and the training content, they will not use it and not think that is a good training. So that needs to be something relevant for them and practical. Otherwise, they quit quite fast.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so when we're talking about new AI tools got implemented, so I've noticed most firms from big enterprise to SME are still in the pilot or an experimental stage, even though they are still in tech, because even though tech are one of the fastest moving industry, but most of them, even thus, are still in the stage of experiment and piloting. Let's just say when adopting these new tools, new technology, you also said that you're going to have a framework to evaluate all the new adoption initiatives thing, like strategy, people, like you, and risk, as you mentioned. So how does this framework help different departments work with the same tools while stay aligned on the same objective of the company?
That's a strategy topic, and we are also puzzled with that, to be honest, a little bit. But that's a topic which getting more and more relevance, and we are working on that. But I would not say that we have solved that. You hit the nail with the challenge, and that's also the kind of this kind of AI on the one hand screams for hierarchy because you need to do centralized decisions and then you have a clear strategy. But on the other hand, you need to democratize and make individual teams, empower them so that they can work quick and agile and not waiting for one hierarchy decision point. So that's these decentralized, centralized discussions we always have. And I think the big key is empowerment and making people aware of that's a challenge. Of course, you need to do some central decisions, especially when it comes to safety, security, and these things.
Yep.
But in the end, you need to give also a kind of freedom so that the people can explore. Otherwise, you will end up in a too slow process.
Yeah, it is. So we've been adopting AI in our development processes, like integrating AI code editing tools when we're building our software. So I'm handling marketing stuff, filming all of those. And whenever I'm asking them, hey, can I film you using AI to help your client in this? And they said, please put in note that we not using the following tool, which is Cloud, OpenAI, those two tools, because they're not going to protect our code. And sometimes easily our code could be feed to their LM models. So they're really concerned about data privacy and the code privacy here. Yeah, because compliance and regulation has always been, can be said as a burden to have everyone use those AI tools freely. So how do you support your colleagues to keep adopting it, but still have to put safety first and compliance first?
You can make the system the most robust, stable, and trying to avoid intrusion as much as possible. But if the want to make it work and need more flexibility, in the end they can break every system because they are internal, right? And they can find the weak point, so they can use all the holes which are still there. They have it even easier to get from internal to external because they are in the source, and they are in the black box. So the only thing to make it most robust is to make awareness and knowledge to the people, right? Because if they are aware, if you exposure data to tools which we should not use, if you explain them the why behind, then the people getting on your side and on the one hand, okay, we can experiment with one other tool, but please not with the sensitive data. And that's they getting faster to that knowledge, and that is also a challenge in communication, what we have to
Mm-hmm.
do. But I still believe that this awareness is the most important thing we have to drive, so that people makes the system robust and not the technology. The technology again can help here, but the people are the key because they are on the steering wheel.
Yep. So I believe those communication governance thing that will be the layer turning all the experience, all the AI exposure, all the AI experience into something sustainably value overall. We're not going to the shortcut. We need to test them first, experience them first. And that's what I'm seeing at OMICRON. You guys working on a lot of things, seeing new things and gaining knowledge from that, which is really moving in a really sustainable way. So yeah, I think we've been cover how Omicron is rolling out AI tools, building internal governance, and setting groundwork for long-term transformation as well. So I think let's zoom it out a little bit about what future look like, not just for Omicron, but an entire utility sector. So what major changes you expect in utilities in the next 3 to 5 years?
Mhm. So what we have seen already in the last decade or decades is that the technology did a kind of shift within departments within the utilities. So one concrete example, we had a protection department, we had a control department, and
Mm-hmm.
they are more and more merging due to technology mergers. Now
Yeah,
the OT is getting more importance on so it's not only IT, but it's also OT in the substation, and that is getting also in context with protection and control. So the network's getting. So the next departments needs to merge and need to. So in the end, it will come to a kind of restructuration of the utilities, which is on the one hand a kind of challenge because it's transformation, but it needs to be done because to keep up with these technologies. So these utilities need to restructure their work fitting to the new technologies, and that is of course a lot of people giving a headache, not only the utility itself but also the suppliers, because you have total new stakeholders and partners you're dealing with. So the manufacturers need to also follow these kind of transformation on the customer side.
I see. Excited at the same time, even though it's challenging, but I would say overcoming this, gonna see how far it would go, right? So what do you excites you the most?
The most is the whole decarbonization and electrification we currently can drive. When I see still how much coal and gas is just burned and what we can save and change with all the renewables, I'm really too excited to see how much energy is coming out of clean renewable sources. Our power grids are capable of bringing that electricity into also more efficient heat pumps, electric cars, and so on. So seeing this technology making this um, more sustainable happening, that really excites me, and that we can a mini piece of it supporting that change excites me the most.
So you're excited on how it will improve the environment as a whole. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Of course, when we talk about AI, we have, on the other hand, a lot of electricity need. But I think that's currently just a photo moment where that will come to another efficiency, because all the tech companies are also seeing the electricity as a limiting factor, right? So they are also looking there for efficiency, and they are not building new power plants because they like to build power plants and need to
Hmm.
consume a lot of electricity, but that's the current status. But they will decrease it and make it more efficient in the future again. So that will change again soon.
I see. So when we're talking about power, currently, you know that when we run a prompt on GPT, it will consume a lot of electricity. I think from a video I saw of CNBC say that in one day, the energy consumed by the GPT chatbot could take the power of a whole, I can say a whole town in America for 3 months. But it takes a lot of energy for when the AI also come to have those LM model work really well and give the output fast. And they started to move to nuclear energy. That's the thing I recently saw. There's a lot of capital pouring in these nuclear sector. I just curious as a person working in power industry and also very conscious about our environment now. What do you think?
I think from a business point of view, the nuclear was just a topic they had available. But so far, when you compare the price for electricity, the kilowatt per hour you get out of, or the price per kilowatt hour you get out of, for example, solar, is much cheaper than compared to nuclear, and all that complexity. Of course, you can create a big nuclear power plant and then have a very stable power flow. But look at countries like China and others. They are building a big power plants with solar and wind, because the
Mm-hmm.
energy is getting cheaper. Of course, it's a challenge for the power grid, and you have to bring also some efforts there. But so far, what I have not been seen that the nuclear have been so effective that the price per kilowatt hour, and that's at the end what the tech companies are paying for, is getting cheaper than the other ones. And in the end, it's always is a business decision, right? But also a topic of change. And when you see, hey, that we need to get some experience to the modern power grid with renewables and the volatility which is connected to that. But when they see in the end the whole round is cheaper of making a smart grid with electricity out of very cheap renewables,
Mm-hmm.
hey, then they will go more for that one.
I see. Because when we're talking about nuclear thing, we usually refer them to some very devastations, really disastrous event that happened.
Yeah, the one thing which is not clear, what do we always at atomic waste afterwards? So that's not clear. There was an idea of making that waste again available for the nuclear power plants. Were ideas of having very small power plants and all these things. But so far, there was not a technical breakthrough. I think people will work on technology also in that sector always. And I would say it's not bad that they research that stuff. But at the moment, we have the facts that we have to break down a lot of nuclear power plants, at least here in Europe, because they get out of service because they are their age. And the costs often are not within the operating cost of the nuclear power plant. So that's also something where countries need to live with all these costs which are coming out of the waste, out of the old power plants, and so on. Maybe the did not the calculation always that honest, like all the, let's say, sustainable.
Yeah, I see. At the end of the day, technology and transformation is about enabling humans to do more and do it confidently. But still, so many risks that I'm seeing in this in the nuclear sector. But I believe technology could ensure and have this more well governed and could prevent the risk to happen again.
Yes, and again, it's about knowledge, right? So if we share that knowledge, what is clean energy, making these key players or these stakeholders who doing these decisions, providing good information, democratizing this knowledge to a lot of people,
Yeah.
helps to make good decisions. And I think there is a kind of supporting tool, which it is worthwhile at the moment spending a kind of energy to in the end making people doing smarter decisions, which in the end makes more sustainable situation.
Okay. I think we've been going a lot of part now. I really appreciate how you spending your time your day, and this is such a rich, grounded conversation. Are there any final messages you want to send to our audience before we end the show?
I heard once from an external person a very clever sentence, and that is train your eye muscle. So that is for me something stick to my head. So take all the possibilities you see to at least experience quickly what you could do with AI and what is possible, because it will open your mindset, help you to learn and unlearn things. What are the limitations? What are the possibilities with AI? So train your eye muscle really helps to, see what this new technology brings us and where it doesn't help.
Wow. I love that. Okay, so everyone, this is Control Shifter with Florian. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.